All right, on this episode of Bare Knuckle Bowker, very excited to be talking to an individual coming off of quite the emphatic debut in bare knuckle boxing, which took place at BYB 26 Mile High Brawl, and that went down on May the 10th. A very exciting fight in the Mighty Trigon with Roberto Duran Jr. getting that win over Javon Wright, and very excited to have Rob on the program today to chat a little bit about all of that. How are you doing, man? I imagine feeling pretty good after a win like that.
I'm doing great, man. Just healing up, the process is picking up, so I'm happy. I'm happy.
Yeah, and just really showed a lot of grit as well as like the obvious technique and other considerations, like just I guess the picture that was going around of the bottom teeth getting knocked out, but rallying to, win the fight and everything like that. So really just showing a lot of grit in that regard. I felt like that, deserved to be kind of mentioned right off the rip there. That was something that I felt like kind of picked up a lot of steam after the fight, like some of the different pictures and stuff like that.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Yeah.
But I mean, I guess I'm wondering like if this kind of like aligned with how you saw the bare knuckle debut playing out. Like, did everything kind of fall into place sort of as you thought, or did you maybe have like not the most like hyper defined idea of how it would go and just I guess more being adaptable and stuff like that, I guess.
I knew it was gonna play out like that. That first round, I knew exactly that's how it was going to be me being the boxer. So I knew he was gonna jump on me and try to grapple with me and do the dirty boxing thing. But I adjusted after that first round, and then it was just, sky high from there.
And a lot of people understandably talk about the mighty Trigon just being like such a tight, compact kind of space to fight in. Like, how did you feel fighting within that? Like, did you feel like it lent itself to your general approach and everything like that, or did it kind of take some getting used to and whatnot?
Nah, to be honest with you, I felt right at home in the Trigon, because it's small, so very small to try and go anywhere. And me being the type of fighter I am, that plays out in my advantage, because I like to focus in on the pressure, closing the distance, and then that works for me.
Yeah, and I think it's really cool just like referencing past articles, how it seems like you've got to, I guess, glean some insights from boxing legend Vinny Paz and really kind of like be under that proverbial learning tree. Like, are you still actively working with Vinny Paz and everything like that?
No, no, no. Me and Vinny haven't we haven't worked together in a while, but we talk here and there. Yeah, Vinny's a great guy.
Yeah, just such an inspiration and iconic fighter. But some guys I did see you were directly working with was Yuli Diaz and Jake Bostwick, who have a wealth of experience in BKFC and also
Yes,
BYB
sir.
Extreme as well. Like, how much did that really help you prepare for the bare knuckle debut? Just the experience those guys have.
Oh, that helped me tremendously, especially with the sparring, because they're a lot bigger, a lot heavier. So sparring with them basically built me, got me ready for this fight. It made me tougher, the durability, you know, the muscle endurance, because the sparring with them, taking the punches from them, it did a whole lot for this fight, and I'm grateful for both of them.
Yeah, it just seems like a great time to be part of the BYB fold specifically as well, just having recently acquired BKB, like the big league out in the UK
And
and
yeah,
stuff like
yeah.
that. Yeah, it just seems like a deep talent pool of guys that you could potentially fight, just being that you're in a multi-fight deal with the company from what I'm seeing.
Yeah, man, it's something special. It's like I've heard, I came right at the right time.
Yeah, for sure. And I think it was cool because I was seeing in some of the articles where you were talking about how this sport can really allow you to kind of like carve out your own legacy and your own name and stuff like that. I feel like the debut performance really, if this is going to be kind of the broader trend of what you're looking to do in this sport, I think you really set that off in a strong way for sure. Like, did you feel, I guess, based on some of the receptions from like the crowd and I guess maybe people talking about it online afterwards that it was like the consummate sort of performance because it felt like one of the really hotly discussed fights from that card.
Yeah, I felt, my performance that night was just on another level. You know what I mean? walking into the ring, getting ready for a fight, you never know what's going to happen, but the way the crowd took me, the atmosphere that night, and just my performance at all, it was just everything was it was a wonderful thing. It was exciting, and then that fight right there, I know is gonna propel me forward, in this journey with Bare Knuckle, which I'm very excited for.
And does that represent like a certain next step for you? Like, I obviously want you to enjoy this win, but I guess in talking about that, like, are you kind of hinting at maybe a certain ideal, maybe like next juncture for your fight, like a next card you'd like to get out there for, or like an opponent or anything like that? Or
Right now we're looking at for August. So hopefully everything goes smooth, everything goes good, and I'll be back in August. Should be out here in Florida, in Miami.
yeah, for sure. And I know BYB allows for guys to kind of like concurrently fight in gloved sports as long as it's like within a healthy distance away
Right.
from the planned next bare knuckle fight. Like, do you still want to fight in gloved boxing while with BYB or kind of just solely focus on bare knuckle, you'd say?
I'm gonna be in between, but I'm gonna slowly focus on bare knuckle, really. Boxing for me, what I'll do is just now is just to really just stay in shape, stay in the ring, But my main focus is bare knuckle, most definitely.
Well, that's an exciting proposition for sure. And we're talking about the atmosphere and as far as like the crowd reception and stuff like that. But I feel like a big talking point with a lot of these like Colorado based kind of events is just that higher altitude. Like, did you feel a discernible difference fighting out there with that higher altitude in Denver or not so much?
Yeah, not at all, man. Not at all. I felt great. I thought I was going to feel something, but I didn't. Glad I prepared for that here in Florida. I got a couple of tools and things I've been using, to work on my breathing, to work on the elevation, and then when I got to Denver, I didn't feel it at all. And then, that was a blessing.
Yeah, it's wild like what kind of like advents in technology there are with that now. Like I was talking to Tommy Turner ahead of the event, who obviously had main evented the card, and he was talking about how he has certain devices that he uses to kind of like simulate the higher
Right,
altitude. Like I imagine you were using a similar thing there from what you're talking about.
right, exactly. Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah, I imagine that would just benefit you in general anyway, like regardless of where you would be fighting. But I mean, it's interesting you mentioned like the idea of maybe getting on an August card in Miami. Like that would be exciting. It seems like the Florida market is like a strong one for bare knuckle in general and everything like that. And just, yeah, it seems like it would keep like an active schedule going for you and everything. So that's exciting to hear that that's kind of like the general idea right now, I suppose.
Yeah, definitely, because that's home here for me, So a lot of my friends and family, fans, they'll all be able to come by, show love and support, actually see me fight in person, So it'd be an awesome thing.
No, that's cool because I know sometimes with fighters, there's that kind of thing where sometimes it's almost like a pressure minded kind of thing, like fighting in front of like the family and friends and the home environment. But it seems like that's a thing that excites you and motivates you more.
Yeah, completely. Yeah, that definitely doesn't make me shy or nervous. That actually gets me excited and hyped to go even more.
Yeah, no, I hear you. I think just when I started doing fighter interviews, I just automatically had assumed that people would be excited about it. Like I didn't, I guess, entertain the idea that for some people there might be like a pressure or something kind of in that sort of space attached to it. So no, that's sweet, man. That's cool that that's kind of like in the plans though and stuff like that to be competing out there and have the family and friends come out for that one. Like, I mean, what was the reception from the family and friends after the BYB debut here? Like, what was the sentiment you were getting from them on the performance you had?
I mean, some of them took it as, Rob, you was a wild boy, you crazy for that, and then, because it's bare knuckle. They don't want to see me hurt or anything like that. But this is my up my alley. This is what I was born to do. And then the rest of them was like, "Listen, man, I watched it. It was just an amazing fight. It was just incredible. the way you performed everything. So I'm happy.
And I guess I'm wondering, like, did the camp have any differentiation to it as compared to like what you would do getting ready for a glove boxing fight? I guess like I only asked that because I know it can kind of go one way or the other with some bare knuckle fighters where some guys like I
Right.
guess swear by certain hand strengthening techniques and stuff like that, whereas some guys are like, I don't need to do that. Like my hands are pretty calcified and good to go from just preparing for a lot of these other fights. Like, did you notice you did a lot differently in the preparations for this one in that sense?
Yeah, we did. We worked on some different things, especially we worked on a lot of more speed than we would normally do. We worked on uh, fighting in the clinch because in dirty boxing you can do that. So we worked on that more speed and also just a lot of rapid punching output. Make sure we're always constantly punching, punching, punching. Because bare knuckle was a fast-paced sport. So that's what we prepared for more fast pace, speed, and in clinch, and boxing on the on the clinch.
Yeah, how did you feel like adding that kind of part to it? I mean, I guess I'm presuming you kind of added that aspect to it. Like in glove boxing, you have to be, I guess, familiar enough in the clinch to, I guess, not have people like lean on you or whatnot, but relatively briefer kind of exchanges. Like, what was it like preparing for like that aspect of the bare knuckle game and everything?
Very different, completely very different. On in boxing you can't hit on the clinch like you can do in bare knuckle. It's more like a resting period in boxing. But in bare knuckle, there is no breather. So don't think you're gonna lay on the shoulder and take a breather. That's not gonna work out. So we prepared for it. It's a little different, but nothing that I can't get used to. So and that's another thing too that I got to work for my next fight is that fighting more on the clinch, making sure, you know what I mean. But that's what we're gonna work more on.
Yeah, and I guess like from my layman kind of perspective, like it seemed like you were comfortable with the active clinch in as far as like being defensively responsible and aware, but also like trying to, I guess, get the offense off in that regard. Like again,
Right.
layman
Yeah.
kind of perspective, but it seems like
Right.
sometimes when I see glove boxers go into bare knuckle, it's almost like a I guess defensive minded thing in as far as like just more wanting to break from the clinch and kind of keep it at that familiar kind of range. But it seemed like you were very conscious of also implementing things offensively in the clinch. Is that a fair way to characterize that?
Yeah. Completely. Completely. When I was in a clinch, I would defend to try and open up an opening and get my hands loose. So yeah, I'd take it that way. Yes, sir.
I guess did you I mean, I mentioned the work with Diaz and Bostwick and whatnot, which would have been hugely beneficial, but did you, I guess, at all get in touch with some other glove boxers who've made the transition into bare knuckle to glean advice from at all? It seems like certain guys like I mean, I guess Austin Trout, the BKFC welterweight champion, would be someone that immediately comes to mind, but definitely seeing a lot of guys cross over from Queensbury rules into bare knuckle. Like, did you, I guess, glean advice from anyone like that?
No, just Diaz and Bostwick. Because I known those guys for a while. Bostwick trains with my old trainers, still good guys. So, and Monster, he's been part of the camp now for about a few months. So I just been getting advice from them,
I mean,
which
great
helped
guys
out a
to,
lot. So yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Hmm.
No, great guys to get advice from for sure, man. But I guess in kind of doing some backgrounding on you, it seemed like you, at least like a few years ago, were actively kind of involved in getting some music going on. Is that something you're still doing, like getting the tunes going and stuff like that, or maybe not as much as of late?
Yeah, not as much as lately. I haven't done music in a while. I've just been so focused on my career, with fighting. I really haven't had time for that right now. I'm hoping to do something maybe, and if I have time, but not right now.
No, fair enough. Just speaks to the focus and stuff like that. And I imagine like that maybe offers a level of insight into maybe what you see with this bare knuckle path. Like in a lot of the interviews, there's discourse about legacy and stuff like that. So I imagine I mean, maybe it's not like the immediate like next focus per se, but in general, I imagine like capturing some sort of championship within this promotion would be like a defined goal, at least at some point
Oh,
down the line.
definitely. Oh, definitely, definitely. That would be a great achievement for me. You know what I mean? That's what I'm aiming for. That's what me and my team are aiming for. And then, God gives me the blessing to do so. And that's what we're gonna shoot for.
Yeah, it's awesome to hear. And I feel like BYB is a cool promotion in that regard because as much as they have like the BYB championships, which kind of represent the present and then as an extension, the future of the sport, I feel like they also fairly frequently have those like Police Gazette championship fights where there's like that rich century plus lineage to it and stuff like that. So I would think that would be exciting for a fighter like yourself.
Oh, most definitely, man. I wish the time was now, but it's not, but you gotta be patient, you gotta let time take its course. When God's timing is time, that's when the timing will be, you know what I mean? So one step at a time.
Yeah, for sure. And cool to hear that there's like I've kind of mentioned a couple times before, some discussion about like when that next step would already be and stuff like that. But yeah, like kind of like I was saying before, man, I also want to let you enjoy the victory and stuff like that. I guess in kind of bringing that up though, like what have you been kind of getting up to since the fight? Like what do you do to kind of unwind from like a great sort of standout performance like that? Because I know some fighters will maybe take like a bit of a break and then kind of get right back to it in the gym. But yeah, some guys kind of vary in what they get up to post fight. Like, what have you been doing since the BYB 26 debut win?
I just been healing, I just been at the house healing my hands, the scars, scratches, just been giving my body a few days off so like that I can heal and get back right into training. But that's me. I don't really like to lose out on training. I don't like to go, days without missing in the boxing gym, but I'll be back in there tomorrow, most definitely, whether my hands are swollen or not. You know what I mean? But yeah, that's really it. I just been healing, giving my body time, to recover.
No, fair play, man. And you kind of touched on it a little bit there. Like, I guess, like in the body of the fight, you were mentioning how you thought the altitude might be a factor, but it didn't really be a factor. Like, are your hands as banged up as maybe you had figured they would be heading into the
A
debut?
little bit, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're a bit swollen, but the swelling has calmed down, has went down tremendously, and a little bit, I feel a little bit of pain on it, just on the sides. Not too much, not nothing major, but yeah.
No, yeah, good to hear, man. I just know that's sometimes like a factor for some of the fighters that do get out there. But yeah, no, it was a great performance, man. I definitely thoroughly enjoyed getting to watch it. And kind of like I was saying a bit ago, I want to let you enjoy the fruits of that labor and everything. But yeah, no, it's been great getting to chat, man. I guess, and kind of saying all this, I'm wondering if maybe you had a final thought that you wanted to get out there as we're sort of wrapping things up, though, man.
All I want to say is, thank you for having me on the interview. I appreciate it. I want to thank BYB Extreme, Greg, Mel, Mike, Don. Thank you for putting me on, allowing me to showcase my skills, and also a shout out to my sponsors, Brawlers Boxing Gym, for supporting me and being with me all the way. My family and friends as well. And thank you guys.
Yeah, it was an awesome debut, as I've said a couple of times, but I feel like it bears repeating. Just like a good mix of grit and like really good, strong technique getting out there, especially for the first fight. So definitely a good transfer over, and just really looking forward to seeing that next step. And yeah, hopefully we can chat ahead of the next fight there, man.
Most definitely, my friend. Thank you. God bless.
Yeah, all the best, man. You enjoy the rest of your day. And again, thanks so much for the time.
No problem, my partner. You have a great day as well.